Okay, we're live. So let's just wait. All right. So let's just wait. Okay, here's his channel. Here's the fella's channel. So let's just click on the first YouTube short we see. Wait, let's go to popular.
My twin brother Chris and I were 9 when we learned Morse code. We tapped...
Bro, they were 9? They were freaking 9? What? Alright. Bro, they were freaking 9. What? Just click on... Oh my gosh. They were, bro. And high velocity. Welcome to the stream. Freaking 9? What? Bro, welcome velocity. Alright. Bro, they were
messages under the dinner table when Mom told us to stop talking and tapped through the wall between our bedrooms every night. When Chris got into a car accident and the
That's sad, bro.
doctor said he'd never wake up, I pulled up a chair next to his bed, took his hand, and tapped. Are you there? Nothing. But I came back the next afternoon and tapped again. Before I left, I always said the same thing. See you tomorrow, Chris. A week later.
Bro, what? I don't know if this is real or fake. This just is like a sad story, bro. That's not his story, that's sad story. Like, what?
Chris's fingers twitched against mine, and I almost fell out of my chair. I grabbed a nurse, and she barely looked up. They're reflexes. It doesn't mean anything. I bought a notebook the next day and started writing down every single one. 4 months in, Mom watched me scribbling and said, "How long are you gonna keep doing this?"
Bro, L mom.
Till he taps
Bro.
back. He's not gonna tap back. You're talking to a corpse. Dad lasted a few more months before he pulled me into the hallway. We need to talk about donating your brother's organs. His fingers move every time I hold his hand, Dad. The nurses said those are reflexes. Stop.
The reflexes is crazy. Bro.
Getting your hopes up, son. I don't care what the nurses say. You're not donating my brother's organs. But a week later,
Yo, welcome Shane. Wait, W Shane.
my parents called to have Chris transferred to a long-term facility to die. And
What? A long-term facility to die? Let him die in peace. What?
scheduled a meeting to sign the papers. The afternoon before the meeting, I tapped into his palm like always.
Velocity. Wait, this isn't real. It's reference to a real story. Nah, no way this happened, bro. No way, bro.
But this time, something tapped back. Short, long,
What?
long.
Yo.
Short, SOS. I grabbed his hand. Chris, if
What?
that's you, squeeze once. He squeezed so hard my knuckles cracked. I stormed into the meeting room and told them my brother just responded to me. The caseworker said,
Bro, so confident, bro. That's crazy.
"This is very common with families who aren't ready to let go." My parents nodded. I grabbed the
That's
transfer
crazy.
papers off the table. "You're not signing anything until you come see for yourself." I walked them to Chris's bed and grabbed his hand. "Ask him anything." The caseworker asked what year it was. Chris squeezed out the answer. "Count to 5. 5 perfect.
So this man squeezed 2,226 squeezes? Is that what I'm hearing right now? Is that what I'm hearing right now? That's not what, yo.
Perfect squeezes. His mother's name, tapped out letter by letter. By the 10th question, she said, "He's still alive.
That's
We can't
crazy.
move him." Weeks later,
That's
I
crazy,
asked Chris
bro.
what kept him fighting when everyone gave up. Heard Mom call me a corpse. Heard Dad say donate my organs. Heard all of them
What?
leave, except you. I asked why. I wanted to see you too. My twin brother Chris and I were 9 when we learned
Well,
Morse code.
yeah, that's inspirational. That's inspirational.
My daughter came home crying with an F because her teacher doesn't know what color blood is. The
What does she think what color blood is then? Green? Like what?
first time I realized something was wrong, Riley came home from school holding out her arm. "Look, Dad, you can see the blue blood in my veins right here." She traced the blue...
Yo, that's crazy. That's crazy. Bro, she's pointing to her veins thinking it's blood. That's crazy.
lines under her skin with her finger. I put down my coffee and looked at her. Actually, sweetheart, that's not true. Blood is always red because of hemoglobin. It's just darker red in your veins.
Bro, what the frick is hemoglobin?
Her face scrunched up, but Mrs. Miller showed us a whole PowerPoint about it. She even had diagrams from a science book. The next morning, I packed my work scrubs in my bag. I'm an ER nurse at Mercy General, and I was working the afternoon shift anyway. I sent Mrs.
Blue? What do you mean by that?
Miller an email asking if I could do a quick presentation about blood for career day that afternoon. She loved the idea. When I arrived, Mrs. Miller introduced me as Riley's dad who works at the hospital. 28 kids stared up at me from their desks. I heard you guys learned that blood is blue inside your body, I said. The entire class nodded enthusiastically. Mrs. Miller beamed from her desk in the corner. I pulled out a blood collection tube from my pocket and held it up.
Is he about to outsmart her? Wait, is he about to outsmart her?
This is what we use to draw blood at the hospital. Notice something. The tube
Bro, what is he about to do? Is he about to prove the teacher wrong or something, bro? That blood is not blue?
creates a vacuum. No oxygen inside at all. I paused. When we draw blood with these, it never touches oxygen until we pop the cap off. I showed them photos on my phone of sealed blood tubes. See? Still red. Mrs. Miller's smile started fading. She shifted in her chair and cleared
Exactly, bro. Exactly. Huh?
her throat. A boy raised his hand and pointed to their science textbook, but our textbook says it's blue. I picked up the book and checked the publication date, 1998. Medicine updates pretty fast. We used to think lots of things that turned out to be wrong. Mrs. Miller suddenly stood up from her desk, her hands gripping the edge. Well, the
teacher's cooked. And I know that for a fact. The teacher's actually cooked.
Thank you for that interesting presentation, Mr. Johnson, but we need to move on to math now. I nodded and started
cooked.
Packing when a girl in the back raised her hand. So our textbook is wrong? The class erupted in whispers. Mrs. Miller's jaw clenched and her voice got tight. The curriculum says, actually, I interrupted, pulling up.
Bro, what the frick is the curriculum? Bro. Curriculum?
Curriculum.
The complete set of planned courses, content, and learning experience provided by a school, college, or educational program. Learn something new every day.
Up the state science standards on my phone. I walked over and turned my phone toward her. The current curriculum specifically mentions this myth as something to correct. She stared at the screen and her eyes narrowed. Her mouth pressed into a thin line and her nostrils flew.
What? W pause. Wait, W pause though? Wait, W pause.
Flared. Can I speak with you in the hallway? The kids watched as we...
Oh, you're cooked. You're cooked. What?
Walked out and the door closed behind us. Do you have any idea how hard it is when parents undermine my authority? Her face was red and her voice was sharp. Now they'll question everything I say. I kept my voice calm. Isn't that exactly what we want them to do? Question things and learn critical thinking? She crossed her arms tightly. I've been teaching for 22 years. I'm not changing my whole curriculum.
It's crazy.
The flight attendant slipped me a napkin that said, "The pilot isn't who he says he is. Meet me in the back to talk." I knew she chose to tell me because of the military dog tags around my neck.
Yo, what's up? What's up? Welcome to stream. I don't know how to pronounce your name. Calm. Like, that's all I know.
I folded the napkin and slid it into my pocket, and that's when the captain's voice came over the intercom. "Good morning, folks. This is Captain Hopkins, expecting smooth skies to Chicago, but something was wrong. I could feel it in my bones. I waited 2 minutes.
I'm sorry if my mic sounds bad. This is an old mic, so, like, my new one's way better, though.
And casually walked to the back, not knowing what to expect. The flight attendant was there with a man holding up a police badge. The man whispered, "I'm glad you're here. I'm an
I didn't think about anything he said.
The flight attendant slipped me a napkin that said, "The pilot isn't who he says he is. Meet me in the back to talk." I knew she chose to tell me because of the military dog tags around my neck. I folded the napkin and slid it into my pocket, and that's when the captain's voice came over the The flight attendant slipped me a napkin that said, "The pilot isn't who he says he is."
The pilot isn't who he says he is. Meet me in the back to talk. What is going on, bro? What is the pilot? What is the pilot then?
Meet me in the back to talk. I knew she chose to tell me because of the military dog tags around my neck. I folded the napkin and slid it into my pocket, and that's when the captain's voice came over the intercom. Good morning, folks. This is Captain Hopkins, expecting smooth skies to Chicago, but something was wrong. I could feel it in my bones. I waited 2 minutes and casually walked to the back, not knowing what to expect. The flight attendant was there with a man holding up a police badge. The man whispered, "I'm glad you're here. I'm an undercover cop." I knew something was wrong straight away.
What the freak bro, is there like an exponential clone of the pilot that's just driving? Like, what do you mean?
Hey, the flight attendant whispered. I've flown with Captain Hopkins for 6 years. I don't exactly know what's wrong, but I know that's not Hopkins, and we're flying the wrong way. She showed me the flight map of where we were heading. The plane is heading toward an abandoned airport. I leaned over the map. My body was pumping with adrenaline because it was the perfect place to crash a plane. There's an empty space above the pilot's room. I can climb up and listen to what the pilot and co-pilot are planning through the ceiling. Take my number. If you can tell there's something fishy going on, text me one word. Now. That's the signal to move. And to
Did he even give him his number? Like, what's the number? If you're like, yo, what do you mean by text? Bro.
To distract everyone while I climbed above the ceiling, the flight attendant made an announcement on the speakers to tell everyone to keep their seatbelts on. Through the cracks, I could hear 2 men in the pilot's room talking. 15 years ago today, our brother died because of Captain Hopkins. Now we get to crash his plane with him.
What? What? What the freak do you mean by that? What the freak do you mean by that? You're cooked. Yo, everyone on that plane, you're cookified, bro. You're actually a rotisserie chicken. You're in like boiling hot oil, bro. You're a rotisserie chicken. You're cooked on that airplane.
Tied up on it while we impersonate him. I texted the undercover cop. Now, the cart slammed into the pilot's room door, and the cop kicked it open. I dropped through the ceiling and tackled the fake pilot out of his seat. The cop pinned the co-pilot to the floor. The flight attendant grabbed the radio. Mayday, our pilot is gone.
I don't know what to say. Bro, what in the ninja dodging skills fly freaking thing is this, bro? What the freak?
We need help landing right now. She looked at me. Find Hopkins, the actual pilot. He has to be on this plane.
What happened at the end? Wait.
Pocket and held it up. You saved 200 lives with this. She smiled and took it back.
Okay, cool.
Every time we heard a knock on the front door, my dad would yell, "Stealth mode," and we had 30 seconds to kill every light in the house. My brother and I would race through the rooms, flipping switches.
I didn't even realize this, bro. Thanks.
Yanking
W? Okay, thanks.
cords, shutting off the TV mid-show, while some guy outside banged on the front door yelling, "I know you're in there, buddy, Dad."
What's his newest video? And why is the title Goat? Okay, wait.
I was walking home from school when I saw someone dressed in a worn-out duck costume, waving at me, and my mom yanked me inside before I could get closer. She...
Bro, what in the Folk Valley? What in the actual Folk Valley is this? Bro, what in the Folk Valley?
yelled, "Don't go near that duck. Legend says if you take off his mask, he'll make you regret it and never leave you alone." She said nobody knew where he came from. I peeked through the window and watched 2 kids sprint past the duck as he quacked at them, screaming. But I had no friends and ate lunch alone behind the bleachers every day, so I figured unmasking him was the most interesting thing that would happen to me all year. So the next day, I went looking for him. I spotted the duck quacking at kids on the corner, so I crouched behind a bush and crept up behind him. Right as my fingers grazed the mask, his head snapped around and stared dead at me. The beak was inches from my face, and I bolted. The duck took off after me. Quack, quack. I sprinted toward my house, but he stayed right on me. Was he about to kidnap me? Was the legend true? Then there was 1 second where I felt his fingers touch my backpack, and didn't, and that scared me more than if he had. I saw him close behind me and realized this waddling weirdo was the most attention anyone had paid me in months. But every time I cut toward my street, he swung in front of me and steered me the other way, like he was leading me somewhere. Then I heard it say, "Wait, wait!" He chased me into a random backyard.
Is he not a kidnapper? Is he not a kidnapper or something, bro? What the freak?
and I hit a tall fence with nowhere left to run. I shut my eyes and yanked the mask off, bracing for the worst. But when I saw who was underneath, my jaw dropped. Instead of a scary man, it was just a big kid, hugging the duck head to his chest. Please don't run away. This is my backyard. I only want a friend to play with. Behind him, a board game sat laid out on the grass with two chairs facing each other. The duck turned to me and said, "Also, I waved at you earlier because I..."
What is this frame? What is this frame, bro? What is this, bro? Bro, what is this?
I sit alone behind the bleachers too, and I see you sit alone. Want to sit together tomorrow? I grabbed his duck hand and nodded. I was walking home from school when I saw someone dressed in a worn-out duck costume, waving at me, and my mom yanked me inside before I could get closer. She yelled, "Don't go near that duck. Legend says if you take off his mask, he'll make you regret it and never leave you alone." She said nobody knew where he came from. I peeked through the window and watched two kids sprint past the duck as he quacked at them, screaming. But I had no friends and ate lunch alone behind the...
That was kind of a W.
I stepped on the plane for my very first flight lesson, but as soon as we were in the air, my instructor gripped my shoulder. "I won't teach you what I'm supposed to. Instead, here's everything you need to know in case you start to crash." He showed me how to tilt the plane upright and how to level the wheels for a crash landing, all while I asked why I needed to know this. That's when he gripped my shoulder, because I have nothing to live for. I saw tears in his eyes, and my stomach dropped. My wife cheated on me. There's nothing left. He opened the door and stepped towards it before I could respond. The whole cabin roared with wind as he looked at me. "I've taught you everything you need." I reached for him, but he was already tipping over. I gripped my head in disbelief as he fell from the sky. Then I looked back at the...
Bro, I did not acknowledge a singular thing he said. Wait, let me go back.
I stepped on the plane for my very first flight lesson, but as soon as we were in the air, my instructor gripped my shoulder. "I won't teach you what I'm supposed to. Instead, here's everything you need to know in case you start to crash." He showed me how to tilt the plane upright and how to level the wheels for a crash landing, all while I asked why I needed to know this. That's when he gripped my shoulder, because I have nothing to live for. I saw tears in his eyes, and my stomach dropped. The day I moved into Dad's house, the first thing he did was point at the giant greenhouse in his backyard. "Don't go in there, kid. I'm serious."
Bro, what is this background?
The day I moved into Dad's house, the first...
Is this the back rooms? Is this level 94? What is this?
First thing he did was point at the giant greenhouse in his backyard. "Don't go in there, kid. I'm serious." I nodded, and that night naturally snuck in there. My jaw dropped looking at the green plants surrounded by grow lights, but suddenly I felt a hand on my shoulder. "I told you not to go in here, kid. These are just exotic herbs, but still, don't tell anyone they're here." "Oh my God, honey, you're finally awake? You've been in a coma for 7 years.
7 years, bro? Wait, what's his oldest video? Wait, you streaming?
Do anything stupid, please." But Brian wasn't listening and kept reaching for the...
Nobody cares. What is his oldest animation? Let's go.
"A teenager tortured my dog for fun, then threatened to do it again."
What?
My dog had gone missing for a few hours, and when I finally found him, he was standing outside another house in my neighborhood. He was covered in bruises, his eye was swollen shut, and blood was still dripping down his side. The teenager walked out and didn't apologize.
What is this, bro? I'm just gonna comment. That's a W comment. Wait, that's a W comment. It's a W comment, bro. You don't get me like that.
He just told me to keep my dog on a leash or he'd do it again. I rushed him to the vet, but he was too far gone. I had to put him down just to spare him the suffering. That dog was the only memory I had left of my late wife, Helen. So I called in a few favors and found out everything about this kid. His school, his job, his girlfriend.
Street Xavier's Skibbity School? Wait, the Party House and Olivia.
friend. He was enrolled at a Catholic private school, and when I told them what he did, they expelled him within the week. His girlfriend was vegan and an animal lover, so convincing her to break up with him was easy. I sprinkled in a few lies, and she destroyed his car for revenge. Then my friends and I posed as customers at his job and filed complaints until his manager fired him on the spot. His life was gone within
His life was gone in what?
days.
Days! Bro, number one way to get the hell out of here, bro.
And as he was walking home after getting fired, I ran him over with my truck. A teenager tortured.
What? Bro, it's just a puppy, bro.
The popular girls ranked every guy in our grade by attractiveness, so
Okay, he just switched his voices. Bro.
I ranked them by weight. Someone texted me, "Sorry bro," with a link. Every guy in our grade ranked by attractiveness and height. I was a 5. The comment next to my name said, "Average face, below average height, would not recommend." Other comments were worse. "Would be cute if he wasn't built like a middle schooler." The whole thing was anonymous, but everyone knew who made it. Tiffany and her crew.
I walked into the parking lot and immediately noticed a frat guy making
This is OG his story.
The popular girls ranked every.
This is his story before he was
A teenager tortured my dog for
before
fun.
he was
The popular girls ranked every.
he has
when
a
I saw-
different voice too.
My bank.
Bro.
Art.
My neighbor kept destroying our snowmen, so I
But who is that guy? This is the his story we all know. This is the his story right there. Subscribe for a chance to win a free iPhone 17.
stepped on the plane for my very first flight lesson, but as soon as the day I moved into Dad's house, the first thing he did was point at the giant greenhouse in his backyard. "Don't go in there, kid. I'm serious." I nodded, and that night naturally snuck in there. My jaw dropped looking at the green plants surrounded by grow lights, but suddenly I felt a hand on my shoulder. "I told you not to go in here, kid. These are just exotic herbs, but still, don't tell anyone they're here." I instantly realized Dad was growing something illegal, so when he fell back asleep, I snuck out and picked a few herbs. I gave a small bag to my classmate Rory the next day for $50, promising him it's that good homegrown Zaza. At home, I watched my dad watering and smelling the plants,
Squeako.
and that night gathered more to sell. But the next day, Rory came in furious. "That Zaza you sold me was terrible. It nearly put me in the hospital. I want my money back." He yelled so loud our teacher walked over. "What did he sell you?"
What type of exotic plant is that? What type of exotic plant is that to make you nearly go to the hospital bro? What?
Zaza. My face instantly went pale, and before I knew it, I was in the office with police officers questioning me on where I got the grass. My legs trembled because they'd found the 3 sealed bags of Zaza in my backpack, and an officer slid me the juvenile detention center flyers. I instantly cracked. "It's my dad's. He grows the Zaza in his greenhouse." The cops instantly nodded. They drove while I cried in the back seat with handcuffs on, knowing Dad would go to jail because I didn't listen. They knocked on his door. "Sir, we're here to search the greenhouse." Dad's face went pale, and I mouthed, "I'm sorry, Dad." His legs shook as he led the officers to the greenhouse, looking like he was about to pass out. The officers walked in and saw the green, then instantly reached for their cuffs. I screamed, "No," but then I heard one of them loudly inhale. "Wait, this isn't grass." He knelt down and picked a leaf. "This is cilantro and rosemary. My known
Are they afraid of vegetables? Bro, it looks like he's afraid of vegetables. That's why he's afraid of this. Like, yeah, makes sense.
uses this for recipes." He turned to me. "Is this what you sold?" I instantly nodded, and he got in my face. "Then why did you tell us it was grass?" "I thought it was." Dad was still trembling and pale as the officers shook their heads and walked out. He dropped to his knees crying. "I never wanted anyone to know I grow cilantro in my back garden. That's the most embarrassing hobby a man could have." I realized in horror my classmate Rory had smoked cilantro. The day I moved into Dad's house, the first thing he did was point at the giant greenhouse in his backyard. "Don't." "Oh my God, honey, you're finally awake? You've been in a coma for 7 years."
7 years is close to my whole life. And he's been in a coma for that time. Like, this isn't a real story, but it's based off one. Bro. What?
I bolted upright and stared at the IV tape on my arm. My wife squeezed my hand and started crying. I thought you would never wake up. I touched my face to feel my beard, but my chin was smooth. The last thing I remembered was climbing into the laundry basket to scare her, so I asked, was I really in a coma all this time? Instead of answering, she just started to cry harder, so I grabbed her shoulders and begged her to tell me everything I missed. She wiped a tear and looked straight down. Your dog Buster died 2 years ago. My heart fell out of my chest. No, my boy Buster. She nodded, so I just burst into literal tears. She grabbed my shoulder. There's something else you need to know. That's when the door swung open, and a huge guy walked in wearing a robe and slippers like he lived right here in the hospital. I froze.
What is this guy up to? What is he up to, bro? I'm taking the screenshot. This is a W pause. Bro, W pause, by the way. Bro.
As he walked straight past me and kissed my wife on the forehead.
Gotta go, bye. Bye.
He patted my leg. Welcome back, champ. My wife lovingly held his arm. This is Dave, my new husband. I stared at his slippers, wondering how I lost my wife to a man dressed like a giant toddler, and screamed, no. I lunged at him, but the IV lines yanked me back and my legs gave out. So I was swinging at him from the floor while he calmly held my forehead. You've been gone 7 years, champ. Don't you have something to say to your wife? I stopped struggling, because he was right.
The only thing that I'd say to him after he said that, I'm not gonna say anything to my wife, bro. I'm gonna get demonetized if I say that. So, yeah.
I'd been gone for 7 whole years, so I started confessing everything from my knees. Babe, I was the one who dented the car and blamed the neighbor's kid. She yelped and covered her mouth, but I kept going. I've also been faking liking your mom's cooking for 10 years. It tastes like wet cardboard. She grabbed my arms. Honey, stop talking right now. I sucked in a breath for the big...
What is the big one? A massive fart? The explosive diarrhea? What?
one, and she saw where this was heading, so she shook me by the arms and screamed, "It's just a prank. When you jumped out of that laundry basket, I hit you with the ironing board and you passed out. I planned it all in the ambulance." She wiped her sweat and laughed. "It's only been 2 days. Dave is just another patient here." But before my brain could process what she had said, my mouth blurted out, "I also pawned your grandmother's ring to put a deposit on a jet ski." The room went dead silent, and Dave slowly backed out the
What? Bro! Oh my gosh. Bro.
door. She let go of my arms. What jet ski? So I lay back down, closed my eyes, and slipped back into my coma. "Oh my God, honey, you're finally awake? You've been in a coma for 7 years." I bolted upright and stared at the IV tape. My dad and I were carrying my sister's leather couch when his grip slipped, and it came down, crushing his hand as he screamed. I lifted it fast and froze in horror. His hand... purple and swelling, his fingers crushed. So I Googled what to do. ER, immediately. Permanent hand loss within minutes. My voice shook. "We're going to the hospital, now." But my sister stopped me, holding a bundle of herbs. "He's not going to a hospital. We heal him the way our ancestors did." My frail dad was crying under his breath, and I knew my herb-obsessed sister was going to get him killed. She packed a fistful of wet leaves onto his crushed hand, and within seconds it swelled twice the size. She clapped. "The swelling means it's pulling the poison out," but his hand didn't look...
I don't think the swelling means that it's pulling the poison out, bro. Bro, what? Wait, I'm gonna comment.
Right, so I sent a photo to
Oh,
chat.
I didn't mean to. Wait. Oh. The swelling does not mean it's getting better. Then I'll put a frickin' crying emoji. I can't. But yeah.
GPT, and my blood ran cold. These plants can poison his bloodstream and kill him within the hour. I screamed, "This can kill him. He needs a doctor." But she ignored me and wrapped it tighter. My dad grabbed my wrist with his good hand. "Don't fight your sister, son. It'll be okay." He was too gentle to defend himself, so I knew I had to fight for him. But the second he finished, his voice cracked into a scream he couldn't hold back. My sister lit up. "That's the toxins leaving. Yes, Daddy. Scream." Then his head dropped. His skin went gray. His breaths shallow and fast. "This is what ChatGPT said. You're killing him." I caught him as he swayed, but she was already reaching for another handful of leaves. She packed another fistful of leaves onto his hand, and I grabbed his arm to leave. But just then, the swelling suddenly...
That's genuinely crazy.
My little brother and I were admiring Grandpa's war medals, earned the day he got paralyzed saving his squad, when we spotted his old stairlift right underneath and smirked at each other. I immediately sat on it as my brother pressed some buttons until it jolted.
Chat, let's watch her story. Wait, let's watch her story. Let's go. I never watched her story before. Wait. Her story. We found it. Subscribe, please. Shut it up. Shut up, soy baddie. Bro, why did I say that? Let's go to the most popular. That's what we started off with, his story.
I was walking alone at night when a police officer started walking beside me and grabbed my
Sorry
arm.
if it
Don't
echoes.
react and keep walking. Someone's following you. I subtly turned around and saw a man in a dark hood 30 feet behind me, matching my pace. I stopped for a second and he instantly leaned against the wall, trying to seem discreet. The officer told me to stay calm and walk with him.
Wait, chat, I'm gonna put on headphones so it doesn't echo too bad. I'm gonna turn on headphones. Wait, give me a sec. Wait, I'm putting on headphones. Give me a sec. Okay, it should be good.
He guided me forward, gripping my arm so tight I couldn't pull away even if I wanted to. I kept glancing back and the man was now closer. That's when he walked through a streetlight and the light shined down on something metallic sticking from his pocket. My whole body...
Oh, nah. Oh, I'm getting the freak out of there, bro. I'm getting the freak out of there. What?
went cold. I pressed closer to the officer and told him what I saw. He nodded and said, "Don't worry, we'll get you home. You're safe with me." But then he started steering us away from the lit up main road and onto a darker sidewalk, almost like he was leading me somewhere specific. That, plus his grip on my arm, made me feel uneasy. But when I turned around, the man was now walking straight at me, holding the metallic object and no longer trying to be discreet. I knew I had no choice but to trust the officer.
Bro. Who are the little kids that use the sound? Wait, who are the people who use the sound? Wait.
I was walking alone at night when a police officer...
Bro, what?
I was walking alone at night when a police officer started walking beside me and grabbed my arm. "Don't react and keep walking. Someone's following you." I subtly turned around and saw...
Bro, this is her story. Didn't you see me switch? Didn't you see me switch, my guy?
Something that's happened.
Like, yo, Velocity, you're better than this. Bro.
Saw a man in a dark hood 30 feet behind me, matching my pace. I stopped for a second, and he instantly leaned against the wall, trying to seem discreet. The officer told me to stay calm and walk with him. He guided me forward, gripping my arm so tight I couldn't pull away even if I wanted to. I kept glancing back, and the man was now closer. That's when he walked through a streetlight, and the light shined down on something metallic sticking from his pocket. My whole body went cold. I pressed closer to the officer and told him what I saw. He nodded and said, "Don't worry, we'll get you home. You're safe with me." But then he started steering us away from the lit up main road and onto a darker sidewalk, almost like he was leading me somewhere specific. That,
bro, I
plus
feel
his
like
grip
you're
on my arm
cooked,
made
bro.
me...
If I was in that situation, I think I'd be cooked. Bro, the
feel
officer...
uneasy. But when I turned around, the man was now walking straight at me, holding the metallic object and no longer trying to be discreet. I knew I had no choice but to trust the officer. I told him the man was closer.
Chat, I'm a weak it. It's a knife. Oh my gosh, I would have never known, bro.
6-7.
I didn't mean to play that.
and he looked around, pointing to an alleyway nearby. This cuts through to the other side of the street. You can call a cab from there. He gripped my arm even tighter and pulled me. I was about to just go with it, but then I saw a taxi sitting 50 feet in front of me with its light on. I told the officer I'll just take this one, but his grip tightened. The man is still too close and the alleyway is safer. He tried pulling me again, but I yanked my arm free and sprinted toward the cab. He reached for me again, but I was too far away. I got in and locked the door, shaking and unsure what to even think. Then 3 weeks later, I was watching the morning news, and my coffee slipped out of my hands. 2 men were arrested for the murder of a woman, the officer who grabbed my arm, and the man.
That's crazy, bro. This is educational.
In the hood. They worked together. The man followed her at night, and the officer lured her into an alleyway under the guise of safety. The woman who trusted the officer never came home to her kids. I was walking alone at night when a police officer started walking beside me and grabbed my arm. Don't react and keep.
Insane!
We were sitting in the living room watching Shark Tank when my daughter looked at me and said, Mommy, I'm gonna be the youngest CEO in the whole neighborhood. The next weekend, she set up a
You sure about that? I mean, a lemonade stand is definitely gonna give you the president of America, but I don't know. I'm joking.
lemonade stand. But instead of mixing regular country time lemonade like every other kid, she came up with a bright idea. She spent the morning in our kitchen, mixing what she called gourmet flavors, watermelon mint, strawberry basil, and something she called lavender honey that actually tasted incredible.
My favorite color tastes incredible. Let's go. Boom. Let's go. I'm gonna open voice mod for a second, so sorry.
Printed labels from our home printer and charged 50 cents more per cup than every other kid on the block. Our neighbor, Mrs. Haggerty, was having a yard sale that weekend. Mia knocked on her door and offered her 10% of her profits to set up in front of her driveway for the foot traffic. She was out there at 7 in the morning with a painted sign and little sample cups for people to try before they bought. She sold out by noon. Saturday afternoon, she recruited 2 neighborhood kids and gave them matching
crazy
visors. She trained them on how to greet customers and how to make change. By Sunday morning, she was running a 3-person operation from our front yard. That's when the man in the BMW pulled up. He looked at the stand and said he only had Apple Pay. Mia reached under the table and pulled out her dad's portable card reader. She held it up to him and said, "No problem, sir. You can swipe, tap, or contactless. No excuses." His mouth dropped open while a 9-year-old processed his credit card for $3 worth of lemonade.
bro. Like, what? I didn't mean to play that. My bad. Okay, yeah. Like, that's crazy. But that's genuinely crazy, though. That's, like, educational.
An hour later, a kid 3 houses down set up his own stand. Mia walked over with her biggest smile and said, "Hey Noah, wanna merge? We'd cover way more customers together." Intimidated by her professional setup, he agreed immediately. Within an hour, she'd absorbed his whole operation and put him in charge of what she called their satellite location. By the end of the weekend, she counted everything out on the kitchen table, $217. She looked at her dad and said, "I just made more money than your Starbucks habit costs you in a week." Then she
What do you mean? Like, yo!
pulled out a notebook and started flipping through pages of profit margins and expense tracking for every flavor. I asked her where she learned about profit margins. She looked at me like it was the most obvious thing in the world. YouTube, Mom. There's tutorials for everything. We were sitting in the living room watching Shark Tank when my daughter looked at me and said,
There's tutorials for everything! Yeah! There's tutorials for everything! Let's go!
Mommy, I'm gonna be the youngest CEO in the whole neighborhood. The next weekend, she set up a lemonade stand, but instead of mixing regular country time lemonade like every other kid, she came up with a bright idea. She spent the morning in our kitchen, mixing what she called gourmet.
Bro, gourmet too! Gourmet too, bro. Gourmet too. Let's go! Let's go.
Flavors, watermelon mint, strawberry basil, and something she called lavender honey. This boy was trolling on the dark web when her sister noticed he slammed his laptop shut. He was shivering, and she knew something was wrong. Scared, he immediately ran to the living room. She yelled, "What happened?" But
You're the most obvious person on this world!
he wouldn't say anything. He started freaking out, closing all of their blinds, locking the front door, and she begged him.
Did he get scammed? Did the scammer get scammed by a crypto scam? I'm taking that.
To tell her what was going on. He was freaking out, and that's when she opened his laptop. She couldn't believe it. Someone sent him a picture of their front door. They sent another picture, and when she clicked on it, it was a picture of her through their window that said, "She looks tasty." She couldn't
She looks tasty! What do you mean by that?
breathe. She was about to run and grab their dad, but her brother grabbed her arm saying, "No, he'll kill me if he knew I was on there." Neither of them slept that night until someone rang the doorbell the next morning. A guy with a badge told their dad they saw some suspicious activity coming
Suspicioso.
from their network, but he told him he didn't know anything about it. He told them to stay safe, but the next day in class, her principal burst through their door. She told her she had to come with her that second and that the police were there, and she followed her to the office thinking it had to be her brother. But the second she walked in, she saw the same guy from yesterday holding his badge.
Suspicioso. Hey, but I'm just saying, it's pretty suspicioso. I'm just saying. I'm just saying, bro. Wait, let me add a keybind.
He smiled when he saw her and told her there was an emergency at her house. He grabbed her arm and tried to pull her out, but she resisted.
Suspicioso. Someone liked my comment. Wait, what was my comment?
A teenager tortured my
What was it? What was the comment? What is there to like about that video? Hey, I'm taking it.
No, tell me what happened. Is my brother okay? But he didn't say anything. Come with us. She didn't want to, but her principal nodded and said, "They're police officers, honey. Go with them." They took her outside, but she noticed their car didn't
Fake police officer. Because it doesn't have the thingamajig.
have any police stickers on it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly, bro. We found it out.
She thought these guys must just be undercover, but when they put her in the back, she immediately noticed there weren't any door handles either. There was no way she could get out.
What? What are the chances of it being you?
Where are we going? But they laughed. She was sweating now. Please, I just want to see my brother. But they didn't say anything until they saw flashing lights behind them. Both of the guys immediately got
Suspicioso.
nervous, and when she realized it was the police, she knew this was her chance. The cop was walking up to the car.
Yes! Let's go. Let's go, bro. That's her chance. That's her chance.
And she was about to scream for help, but just before she did, she felt something sharp in her stomach. She looked down and saw the man holding a knife against her. The cop walked up and looked inside
Bro.
the car, and when he saw her crying, he looked suspicious. She tried anything she could to signal for help, but the man said, "That's just my niece. She's upset because we didn't get McDonald's." She couldn't say anything. The knife was already cutting her skin, and the cop just told them to have a good day. She was crying, but they drove off. She accepted her life was over. She wasn't ever gonna see her family again until they started arguing. He saw
They're all based off of a true story. Wait. Let me search it up. Bro, whenever I press a certain key, it plays that. Wait. In late May 2026, Rayona Bacon. She looks tasty as crazy.
saw our faces, man. If we kill her, they're gonna know it was us. So in that moment, they opened the door and threw her out, and she had to run back with her hands tied. This boy was trolling.
Oh, she got back!
On the dark web when her sister noticed he slammed his laptop shut. He was shivering, and she knew something was wrong. Scared, he immediately I was eating goldfish on the bleachers when two fourth graders asked
I've seen this before. I'm not gonna spoil it though. It's just insane.
my teacher if they could play kickball, and she stepped back and threw her hands up. Don't ask me, ask the king. They both turned around and walked toward me shaking. They were 2 grades older than me and a foot taller. They stopped at the bottom of the bleachers with their eyes glued to their shoes. Can we please play kickball at recess? I took my time finishing the goldfish in my mouth.
Can we play this time?
I wiped the orange dust off my fingers onto my jean. Tell me why. They both forced their eyes up to meet mine. The shorter one mumbled it was his birthday. I flicked my fingers like I was swatting flies.
What do you mean by that?
Have fun. They thanked me 4 times each before sprinting off. I reached into my bag for another handful of goldfish. A minute later, Mrs. Givens walked over with her hands clasped together. Sorry to bother you, Sweetie King. There's a 3rd grader telling kids they can't use—
Sweetie King is crazy, bro. Sweetie King.
Hey, bud, can I come in?
Wait.
use the swings.
Wait, chat. That's enough for today, bro. That's enough for today. Bye. Like and subscribe.